In the year 2000, the world leaders gathered in New York and decided that we needed to work on what is called Millennium Development Goals. Now you find three different shades of color, all blue, that's the UN color. The dark ones are those where UNESCO had the role to play. Eradication of extreme poverty, and I will try and link that with education and learning. Achieving universal primary education and promoting gender equality. Then you have other, slightly lighter shade, that is of combating HIV and AIDS, malaria, ensuring environmental sustainability, and so on. The point is that none of these development goals can be achieved without empowering people through information and knowledge. You cannot reduce poverty if you are not able to empower people with information and knowledge. You cannot eradicate poverty, you cannot bring about the universal primary education without knowledge being a component. So the point is that it is a common denominator in all development goals. When you look at the historical development of societies, starting just with agricultural societies. In agricultural society, the factors of production, the primary factor of production was land, followed by labor, followed by some capital that you needed to buy seed, fertilizer, insecticides. When we moved from the agricultural society to industrial society, the capital became the major factor of production. You certainly needed a bit of land to construct factories, but also you needed more skilled labor, both skilled and unskilled labor. But what happened during this transition from agricultural society to industrial society was that the physical labor was replaced, the muscle power was replaced by machine power. It's the lever and other machineries that replaced people, that you were able to do the same thing on a much higher scale, many more times using the machines. When we move from industrial society to knowledge societies, it is knowledge that becomes the primary factor of production. And in this transition from the industrial society to knowledge societies, it is the brain power that is multiplied by information and communication technology. So it is the information and communication technology that brings the multiplier effect for you as individuals, as human beings, to do a lot more, multiply that many times more. And that's what the major difference is between transition from agricultural society to industrial society and then to knowledge societies. If that statement, if there is any truth in that statement, it is the simple equation that those who have access to knowledge tend to be prosperous, tend to be part of the, as you mentioned, part of the global village, and tend to be included in the development process. Those who have limited access to knowledge and information tend to be poor, as Professor, you mentioned in your intervention. They tend to be poor, they tend to be marginalized, and they tend to be excluded. So we live, Gillian Marshall this morning talked about digital divide, we prefer to call it knowledge divide, but this is a true phenomenon. And not only that there is a divide between North and South, but there is a divide within societies, and huge divide within societies. Just look at this knowledge economy. I got this data, this is put together by World Bank. Look at the graph, the high income countries. Then you have East Asia and the Pacific. Then you have Middle East and North Africa. Then you have Africa and then you have South Asia. Now, that graph tells a story that if you invest in economic regime, innovation, education, and ICT, me move to the next one. This is what we at UNESCO conceived, mainly through our intervention in the World Summit on the Information Society, that any vision of building an inclusive knowledge society has to be, the foundation of that has to be human needs and human rights. That has to be the foundation. It must be a pluralistic and inclusive society. If you build society for a very small percentage of the total population, it's easy to do. But if you are going to build a society on human needs and human rights, and have the vision of building a pluralistic and inclusive society, the task is more complicated and more difficult. And we talk of 4 different pillars of knowledge creation, knowledge preservation, knowledge dissemination, and knowledge utilization. Knowledge creation, yesterday I was visiting a very important center here. It's called Calcutta. And part of our visit, there was a demonstration of some of the wonderful work that this center is doing. But I just want to mention one. There was a papyrus, 3,500 years old, where there were mathematical formulas discussed. So that means this society was so advanced in knowledge 3,500 years ago. So the knowledge was an important, very, very important aspect of this society. 3,500 years ago. Some people would have you believe that the advances that we see in the society today, the scientific advances are the results of some 400 or 500 years of innovation in scientific work. Not so. So knowledge creation is one of the most important innovations. Knowledge creation is extremely vital if the society is happening. The second aspect, knowledge preservation, as I mentioned earlier, that it is not the knowledge that has been created, innovations that have been developed in the last 500 years, that we are benefiting from, whether in the field of medicine, field of education, no matter what. So knowledge preservation, and that's why for UNESCO, knowledge preservation is as important as knowledge creation, especially indigenous knowledge. Then the knowledge sharing. What good is availability of knowledge and innovation if that knowledge is within the 4 walls of a research center or a university or an advanced knowledge center? If that knowledge does not benefit the people at large, the largest segment of the total population, then to that extent, investment in that knowledge, in R&D, in innovations, does not benefit the society at large. Then knowledge utilization, that you have all kinds of innovations available, it benefits the society if the society is able to utilize that knowledge for its own benefit. I remember the years of Green Revolution in India, that India decided to establish agriculture universities and agriculture research centers. India was a basket case at that time.